Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a book that, well, it really shakes things up. It suggests that real freedom, true freedom, comes when you can actually face the idea of being disliked.
It's a powerful premise.
We're talking to The Courage to Be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. It became this huge phenomenon basically by taking the sometimes quite challenging ideas of Alfred Adler and making them accessible.
Yeah, distilling them down.
Exactly. So our mission today is to give you a shortcut, really, to understanding the core ideas, why the past maybe doesn't have the power we think it does, how to maybe stop worrying so much about others' opinions, and finding happiness right now.
And the book itself helps with that accessibility. It's structured as this dialogue, right? Over 5 nights between, let's say, pretty cynical young guy and a philosopher.
Right, like a conversation unfolding.
Precisely. It's almost like it anticipates your own questions and doubts as you read. It tackles them head on. It feels very interactive in that sense.
And the philosophy it's based on, Alfred Adler's individual psychology. Well, he's often mentioned alongside Freud and Jung, the big three.
But Adler took a very different path. While Freud was digging deep into past causes, Adler was much more focused on the future, on goals.
Which brings us straight to the first really mind-bending concept, this idea of rejecting causality, or etiology as they call it.
Yeah, the traditional view, especially in therapy perhaps, is often about finding the cause in your past. This happened, therefore you are like this now. Cause and effect.
But Adler, in this book, they just flip that completely. They embrace something called teleology.
Right. Teleology, the study of purpose, of goals. Instead of saying your past experiences determine you, Adler says something like, we are not determined by our experiences, but the meaning we give them is self-determining.
Okay, unpack that a bit. That sounds significant.
Yeah. It is. It's tough, but it's also incredibly empowering, potentially. It shifts the focus entirely away from why did this happen to me or what caused this?
And
towards, okay, what is my goal right now? Or what purpose does holding on to this feeling or this interpretation serve for me moving forward? It puts the power and the responsibility firmly in the present moment.
So if I'm feeling limited because of something bad that happened years ago, the Adlerian take is that I'm, in some way, using that past event now.
Essentially, yes, using it to achieve a current goal. Maybe the goal is to avoid facing a difficult challenge, or to maintain a certain familiar, even if unhappy, state. The philosopher in the book puts it bluntly, the important thing is not what one is born with, but what use one makes of that equipment.
That's where it gets really controversial, though. I mean, the book implies trauma doesn't exist in that deterministic way. And you can imagine readers hitting a wall there thinking, hang on, are you saying I chose this? That this is somehow my fault?
Absolutely. That's a major point of resistance. And it's crucial to get the nuance. Adler isn't saying bad things don't happen or that they don't hurt. Of course they do.
So what is he saying?
He's denying their absolute power to dictate your present and future. He's saying you can choose the meaning you assign to those events. You can choose how you frame them. The goal isn't to erase the past, but to stop letting it be this heavy chain that prevents you from choosing a different way of living now.
A different lifestyle, which in Adlerian terms is like your whole worldview, your pattern of reacting.
Exactly, your chosen way of being in the world. And changing that lifestyle, that fundamental outlook, well, that takes immense courage. It's easier, in a way, to blame the past or circumstances.
The lack of courage, not competence.
Wow. And this idea of choice extends even to our emotions, like anger. The book suggests we actually fabricate anger.
Fabricate it, like it's not just a spontaneous reaction.
Well, think about it. You might feel irritated if someone bumps you, but you probably don't fly into a rage, right?
Right.
But maybe in an argument with someone close, you do let loose. Why the difference? Adler would say it's about the purpose. You choose to deploy anger as a tool.
A tool? To achieve what?
Maybe to make the other person back down, to assert control, to communicate dominance quickly. It becomes a strategy, a chosen behavior to reach a goal, not just some inevitable flood you can't control.
Okay, so if we manage to sort of unburden ourselves from the past, defining us, what's next? The book says, basically, everyone else.
Yes. That's the second huge pillar. All problems are interpersonal relationship problems.
Which sounds extreme at first.
It does. But the book uses that great illustration. If you were literally the only person on the entire planet, would you have any problems? You wouldn't feel inferior? You wouldn't worry about being judged? Your messy room wouldn't bother you in the same way?
Loneliness, maybe, but not inferiority or shame.
Exactly. All those complex feelings of suffering, comparison, anxiety, they emerge only in the context of other people.
So how do we deal with this messy reality of other people then? That's where task separation comes in.
Yes, task separation, it's a core concept. It basically means drawing a really clear boundary between what is your task, your responsibility, and what is someone else's task.
And trouble starts when we cross those lines.
Precisely. Either by sticking our nose into someone else's business, their tasks, or by letting them dictate ours. The crucial question to ask is always, who ultimately gets the consequence of this action or decision?
Okay, give me the classic example from the book, the homework one.
Right, a child isn't doing their homework. The consequence, bad grades, maybe repeating a year, ultimately falls on the child. That's the child's task.
But the parent gets involved, nags, scolds.
Right. And often the parent's intervention isn't really about the child's learning in that moment. It's driven by the parent's task, maybe worrying about their image, what will people think if my child fails, or their own anxiety about being a good parent. They're intruding on the child's task for their own reasons.
And this leads directly to the title, doesn't it? The courage to be disliked.
Exactly. Because whether someone likes you, approves of you, agrees with you, that is fundamentally their task. It's their feeling, their judgment based on their values and perspective.
Not mine.
Not yours. You can't control it. And trying to control it, trying to win everyone's approval, means you're constantly trying to manage their task, which is exhausting, and it makes you fundamentally unfree. You're living according to others' expectations.
This ties into another big idea. Horizontal versus vertical relationships.
Yes. Vertical relationships are based on hierarchy, superior-inferior, parent-child in a controlling sense, boss-employee purely based on power. Adler saw these as problematic.
Why problematic?
Because they often involve judgment, control, and a lack of real respect. He advocated for horizontal relationships, where everyone is seen as equal, different but equal. Comrades, essentially.
Comrades, I like that. And this leads to that really counterintuitive point about praise, right? That praise is actually bad.
Well, not bad necessarily, but problematic in the context of fostering horizontal relationships. The argument is that praising someone, you're so smart, great job, inherently puts you in a position of judgment.
Like you're on a pedestal looking down.
Exactly. It's the passing of judgment by a person of ability on a person of no ability, as the book puts it. It subtly reinforces that vertical hierarchy. You're the one qualified to assess their worth.
So what's the alternative? Just silence?
No, not at all. The alternative is affirmation or appreciation. Focus on acknowledging effort, expressing gratitude, or commenting on the contribution from an equal footing.
Like instead of you're brilliant, maybe thanks, that was really helpful, or I really appreciate the work you put into this.
Precisely. That builds connection, a sense of belonging, a horizontal tie. It recognizes value without implying superiority. It fosters that feeling of being comrades.
And seeking praise, seeking that external validation all the time.
Yeah.
That just keeps you trapped, right? Living for others.
Completely. The desire for recognition makes you unfree. If you need others to constantly tell you you're okay, you'll twist yourself into knots trying to meet their expectations.
It reminds me of the point about confidence versus boasting.
Yes. If you genuinely have confidence, that inner sense of worth, you don't need to boast or constantly seek external validation. You might strive for improvement, a healthy pursuit of superiority, in Adler's terms, but it's about bettering yourself, not crushing others in competition.
When you see others as comrades, not rivals, their success isn't a threat.
Right. Can even be inspiring. Okay, so we've tackled the past, we've tackled other people. What about life itself, the big picture?
Yeah, the third major shift in perspective. Adler rejects the common view of life as this linear journey, like climbing a mountain to reach a specific peak called happiness.
Right. He says life isn't a line heading towards a destination. It's more like a series of dots or moments.
A series of dots.
Yeah. If you think life is a line leading somewhere far off, then all the moments now become just preparation. They're not the real thing. You're living as a tentative me, waiting for life to start when you reach the goal.
But the Adlerian view is that each dot, each moment, is complete in itself. It should be lived earnestly, right here, right now.
Exactly. The goal isn't some future point. The goal is the living itself in this present moment.
Yeah.
They use that beautiful dancing metaphor.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, when you dance, the dancing is the point, right? You're not dancing just to end up in a specific corner of the room when the music stops.
No, you're just dancing, enjoying the movement.
Right. The movement, the process, the moment itself is the fulfillment. Living life like dancing means being fully engaged in the here and now, in this dot you're currently occupying. You're in an actual active state, not waiting for something else.
So if you're living fully in each moment, not chasing some future goal or burdened by the past, what does happiness actually look like in this Adlerian world?
It boils down to one core feeling, the feeling of contribution.
Contribution, like doing charity work or...
It can be, but it doesn't have to be grand or heroic. It's
Yeah.
simply the internal sense, a feeling that I am of use to someone or I am contributing value to my community, however small.
So doing your job well, helping a family member, even just being a supportive friend.
Absolutely. It's about feeling that you have a place, that you add something, that you are connected to others as a comrade. And crucially, this feeling is generated internally. You don't need someone else to praise you or recognize you for it.
You just know you contributed.
And that intrinsic sense of worth, that feeling of contribution, is the heart of Adlerian happiness. It frees you from needing external validation.
And this feeling supports those two big objectives for behavior Adler talked about, being self-reliant and living in harmony with society.
Exactly. They're built on that foundation. The inner feeling that I have the ability to contribute and the belief that people are my comrades, not my enemies or judges.
It really does flip your perspective on almost everything. The initial reaction to the book is often just, wow. It makes you rethink how you live.
It really does. Ultimately, you could say it's a psychology of courage. The philosopher hammers this home. If you're struggling, if you feel limited, the fundamental question isn't about your past trauma or your current difficult boss. It's about, do you have the courage to change your lifestyle, your fundamental way of seeing and responding to the world, the courage to choose differently right now?
It brings us back to that provocative conclusion. The world is simple, and life is too. Which sounds almost unbelievable at first.
It does, but the implication is, if you accept that happiness is found in contribution and freedom comes from separating tasks and not needing external approval, if you accept you can choose your meaning now, then maybe the complexity we feel is self-imposed.
So the final thought for you listening is this. If you truly embrace the idea that happiness and freedom are choices available right now in this moment, what baggage are you going to drop? What expectation from others or what limitation you've tied to your past will you choose to discard today, right now, to start living more freely?
Yeah, what would it mean to stop living as that tentative you, waiting for conditions to be perfect, and instead fully step into this present moment, this actual active state, and make a choice based purely on your own sense of contribution and comradeship? What one small act of courage could you take?